A melody is a sequence of notes over time, so something very horizontal. And you can think about when you are listening to a song, you're singing along with a song, you're singing the melody. The singer in a song generally is singing the melody. Melodies don't have to be sung, they can be totally instrumental. So if I have ba da da da, doesn't matter if I'm playing it on the piano or on the keys, just that sequence of notes becomes the melody. And melodies, pretty broad topic, but at the end of the day, we're working with these raw ingredients, these 12 notes. Now, this is where we're going to have to start getting a little bit of music theory in here, but I'm going to give you sort of the overview of the notes, but then we're going to see that, well, we can simplify things a little bit when we're actually making music. Now, in our system of music, we have 12 unique notes, and the keyboard layout seems a little interesting at first. We have these 7 white keys and then these 5 black keys, and that repeats up and down the piano. On a fretted instrument, like a, grab one here, like a guitar, well, the notes are arranged much more symmetrically. We have a note, we have a next note, next note, next note. We don't have this asymmetric pattern of white and black keys. And that kind of makes the piano a little more challenging in the beginning, and yet we're going to find that that layout actually enables us to make music a little bit easier from scratch on the piano when we're just getting started. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about these notes more. We say that these white notes here are our natural notes. There are letter notes in music. You'll notice I've labeled a few of them on here. They're the first 7 letters of the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we just kind of repeat. The black keys on here, these are your sharps and flats. You might hear them referred to as accidentals. The whole idea with our system of 12 notes is that the notes are all equal distance apart. If I move what's known as chromatically on this instrument, where I'm moving to the next note, immediately touching the note from the note that I'm on, you can hear I'm going up by the same amount each time. And we say when we do that, going from one note to the next note, immediately touching it in either direction, we say that that's a half step. And if I go to a note that's 2 half steps away, or another way to look at that visually is that there's a note in between, well, we say that that's a whole step. So I have these notes in between right here, so I'm moving in whole step now. And you might recognize that little melody right there from kind of old school Hollywood movies where characters moving off to dreamland. That whole step scale, or whole tone scale as it's sometimes called, kind of gives us that dreamy sound a little bit. So some fun extra knowledge there. Now, on the piano again, we're laid out in this visually interesting way, and it's actually kind of beneficial for learning the notes because I've mentioned that there's 12 unique notes, and then these 12 notes repeat up and down the piano. Well, what happens is that, for example, C is to the immediate left of these 2 black keys. If I play right here, where I have another note to the left of these 2 black keys, well, it's also a C. And so if I play them all together, you can hear it sounds like one big thick version of that C. And yet if I play any 2 or more visually distinct versions of these notes, we start to get different textures. And those are known as harmonies. Well, we're going to explore those more in a moment. So we have these 12 unique notes, but they repeat up and down the piano, so we can do higher or lower versions of these notes. Now, melodies are constructed from these 12 notes, but we're going to run into a problem really quickly if I start just using these 12 notes at random. Because you can hear they're not exactly, it's not exactly musical when I work with these notes like that. You could argue it's music, certainly some composers have, and it's interesting. We say that, that style of playing that has that chaotic feel is known as atonal music, as in there's no tonal center of gravity. Well, again, for most of us when we're looking to make music, that's not really what we're trying to do. We're trying to make something that sounds a little bit more musical. And I see Larry wrote here, jazz. Yeah, no, could certainly argue there that the atonal sound gives us a more jazz sound. You know, jazz is fun because, well, can pretty much say anything that you do is jazz, and whether it sounds good or not, who's to argue with you on that? And Michelle, to answer your question, probably about 22 years now. So most of my life, which, you know, gives a nice foundation there. But yeah, so if we use those 12 notes at random to construct our melodies, we're going to have a bad time. And yet, if we use certain subsets of those 12, well, then all of a sudden things start to sound a little more musical. And I'm going to go ahead, switch the camera back here to the overhead so you can kind of see. For example, if I use this collection of notes, I've got a few white keys, A, B, D, E, and then a few black keys, C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. Even if I play those at random, but just those 7 notes, then we will get something that sounds a little more musical.